Andy Elliott built his brand like he was the king of sales. Loud, aggressive, unstoppable. But behind the motivational clips and fake alpha image, there's a darker story most people never heard. Fraud allegations, sworn testimony, immunity deals, and a past that could destroy everything. This story gets way crazier than people realize. This is Internet Chaos Report. Remember to like and subscribe because we're posting 2 videos every single day. Now let's get into it.
Go look at your paycheck. It's not at least $100 grand a month. You got work to do.
From unknown salesman to internet sales guru. But behind the loud persona, there is a side of Andy Elliott most people have never heard about. Andy Elliott did not start out as a big name. He went from being an
Basically, everyone has work to do.
unknown car salesman.
I mean, everyone, even if you are making $100 grand a month, everybody has work to do. But that's just a funny thing to say, because that's like almost no one makes $100 grand a month.
To one of the most recognized faces in the sales training world.
Son, Bud Liquor, our prices have never been lower.
But behind the motivational talk and intense delivery was a man whose real-life story seemed to clash with the image he was selling. And over time, that gap turned him into one of the most heavily mocked figures online.
1,000.
Hey, bro, you a salesman?
No, I'm a warrior. How you doing today? I'm Russ Richardson. Pleasure to meet you. Appreciate you coming out today. You don't understand how much I appreciate your time today.
Jeez, man.
What can we help you with?
I was just looking to look at some cars today, man.
Looking to look at some cars. Well, you came to the right place, and I'm going to make sure this is the greatest experience you've ever had. Follow me.
Before the viral clips and shouting videos, Andy was just a teenager working at a car dealership. He got into the business at 18 and quickly became obsessed with learning how to sell. But the style he built for himself was not calm or customer friendly. It was aggressive, high pressure, and centered on one goal above everything else, closing the deal. By the time
Isn't that what sales is, though, is trying to close the deal? Like, that's literally your job. So, who gives a shit? That's his job.
he was 20, he had
If he was good at it, who cares the method that he used? Unless if it was something illegal or, like, lying, you know?
already hit his first 6-figure year. Over the next 2 decades, he claimed he was making between $700,000 and $800,000 a year selling cars. That helped build the legend
That's pretty fucking good. That's crazy.
he now repeats in his training content.
I don't think you could make that much in sales where I live, just because there's not enough people here to do that. But maybe you can. I don't fucking know.
But what rarely gets mentioned in those speeches is where some of those biggest earning years came from, and what was happening behind the scenes between 2014 and 2019. During that stretch, and
Let me correct that. Where I live selling cars, specifically.
Andy Elliott worked at Big Red dealerships in Norman, Oklahoma, first as a trainer and manager, and later as general manager. On the outside, it looked like a major success story. But according to the allegations tied to that dealership, there was something much darker going on underneath it all. Big Red was not just selling cars. It was allegedly tied to one of the largest automotive fraud operations in Oklahoma history.
Okay, yeah, see? So it was illegal.
The business reportedly targeted people with poor credit, people in desperate situations, and people with very few options. Behind closed doors, fake down payments, known as King Cash, were allegedly created and reported to lenders as if the money was real. Customer
Yeah, that's illegal. So yeah, that wouldn't be okay. But just being an aggressive salesman, if it works, it works, you know?
signatures were reportedly forged, trade-in records were allegedly falsified, and banks were misled into approving loans that should never have gone through. And Andy Elliott was not supposedly some distant bystander to it all. The claims suggest he knew exactly what was happening. He was not just standing nearby while it happened. According to his own sworn testimony, Andy Elliott said he was part of it. In November 2021, the 3 owners of Big Red dealerships went to trial on charges tied to wire fraud, forgery, and identity theft. And the key witness at the center of it all was Andy Elliott. Andy was reportedly offered a deal: testify against his former bosses, admit what he did, and receive full immunity from prosecution. He took that deal. Under oath, Andy admitted he had participated in the wider operation. When he was asked whether he was involved in manipulating both customers and employees, his answer:
He's a lot shorter than I thought he'd be.
was clear, I was a part of that. He also admitted that employees were told to forge customer signatures. He confirmed that the dealership's success was built on false representations, and when he was asked directly whether that success was based on fraud, his answer was simple: yeah. That one word says a lot. Andy's testimony tied him to bank fraud.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just agreeing to it. What do you mean that one word said a lot? He just admitted to the crime.
Wire fraud, identity theft, bribery, and false statements made to 22 different banks. In the end, all 3 Big Red executives
That picture, he looks like he's on cocaine.
were convicted
He's high as fuck on coke in that picture, it looks like.
and sent to federal prison. Andy Elliott, meanwhile, walked away with complete immunity. No charges, no prison time, no real fallout with the public image he would later build. That is where the story starts getting even harder to ignore, because while all of this was happening at Big Red,
I wonder how he did that. I'll find out who his lawyer was.
Andy was also growing a side business teaching other dealerships how to sell. Think about that for a second. He was building a reputation as a sales expert, while, by his own testimony, he was involved in a dealership operation built on deception. Then in 2019, right as the Big Red investigation was gaining heat, Andy and his wife sold their house for $1 million and poured everything into the Elliott Group, his sales training company based in Scottsdale, Arizona. The timing is what really gets people talking. Andy left Big Red before the whole thing fully collapsed, launched his own company, and then 2 years later testified against his former employers in exchange for immunity. After that, the Elliott
He's a snitch. That's how he did it. Okay. That makes sense. He's a snitch.
Group took off in a major way. Andy started building his brand by showing off flashy sales techniques and a luxury lifestyle packed with expensive cars, designer clothes, and a huge house. His content was impossible to ignore. He would yell straight into the camera, run intense training sessions, make his trainees do push-ups while he barked at them, and push this hard alpha image like it was the answer to everything.
You know how you're gonna fix your mindset? 2 things. When you go in the gym and work out and you take care of yourself, just do cardio, bro. I swear you'll be on fire.
Is he telling you to just do cardio, not to lift weights? That's not a good idea, to be honest. Someone like me, that wouldn't do shit. I mean, it would, but it's not like I wouldn't get to I wouldn't look good. I mean, I'd probably look, you know what I mean? I wouldn't gain a bunch of muscle mass.
That loud style got him attention fast. His YouTube channel climbed into the hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and his Instagram and TikTok pages blew up right along with it. He was constantly posting, constantly promoting his courses, and constantly making sure people saw the money, the image, and the so-called success. But in all that content, there was one thing he never seemed eager to bring up: his past. As the money came in, so did the ego. Andy started throwing out huge claims about how much the Elliott Group was making. First, it was $100 million in revenue, then it jumped to $160 million. The numbers kept getting bigger, but there was never any clear proof to back them up. Outside estimates put his personal net worth somewhere around $5 million to $12 million, which is still a lot of money, but nowhere near the giant empire he wanted people to believe he had built. At the same time, his content got even more aggressive. He mocked people for being broke, called them weak, and acted like anyone who had not made it in life was just lazy.
Me and my wife on fire, I keep everybody. When me and her are going through our shit, I gotta keep that home life on point.
The whole brand started leaning harder into that fake tough guy energy. He kept talking about being alpha, dominating other people, and never showing weakness, like basic decency was somehow a losing mindset. Then the internet turned on him. Videos that were once sold as motivational suddenly started looking flat out ridiculous to a much wider audience. TikTok and Twitter users began clowning his over-the-top behavior with parody clips, jokes, and memes. His screaming, his strange training tactics, and the way he talked down to people stopped looking inspiring and started looking embarrassing. Some of the biggest viral clips showed Andy tearing into employees during training sessions. But people were not sharing those videos because they admired him. They were sharing them because they thought he looked like a joke. Instead of stepping back, Andy doubled down. He posted more videos
I want to see these clips, dude.
calling his critics broke, lazy, and jealous, which only made the backlash worse and made him look even more like an arrogant bully. Then came the part that really cracked the image open. People in the automotive world started digging into Andy's background and found his testimony from the Big Red trial. The court transcripts were public and the details were right there in black and white. Suddenly, the guy selling success, discipline, and high-level sales ethics was the same guy who had admitted under oath to bank fraud, wire fraud, identity theft, and forgery. That is when the whole polished image started to fall apart. A man who avoided prison by turning on the people he worked with was now trying
Yeah, being a snitch is some fucking punk nigga shit, for sure.
to sell himself as
That's some real bitch nigga shit, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Just go to jail. Like, I know it sucks, but fucking better than being a snitch.
the top business leader. Then in 2024, more cracks started to show. Former employees and business partners began speaking out, and the claims sounded way too familiar.
Also, he would go to like a white collar prison. It wouldn't be that bad, to be honest.
One former partner publicly accused the Elliott Group of breaking contracts and using heavy pressure to force deals through.
Cares about is the incentive that he wants to win this month. Some of them legit did not want to do business with us because of Andy Elliott. Andy knew nothing. His confidence level, you see him online as a super big motivational speaker. He's super confident in everything. And I had a very different version of Andy.
At the same time, former team members claimed Andy pushed employees to lie, pressure, and manipulate dealers and salespeople into paying for his programs. That is what made the whole thing hit even harder. These were not random accusations that came out of nowhere. They sounded a lot like the same kinds of tactics Andy had already admitted under oath to being part of during the Big Red years. That is why so many people started seeing a clear pattern. Andy did not seem to leave those methods behind. He allegedly took the same aggressive playbook, cleaned it up, dressed it in flashy branding, and sold it back to people as legitimate sales training. In other words, he was making money teaching the same type of behavior that helped send his former bosses to federal prison. By 2024, the damage to Andy Elliott's reputation was impossible to hide. His comment sections were packed with people bringing up Big Red, asking about his immunity deal, and questioning whether any of his methods were ethical at all. The image was cracking in public. Andy's response was not to explain anything. He did not address his past, did not offer an apology, and did not try to clear the air. He just kept posting motivational content and pushing his training programs like none of it mattered.
I mean, that's kind of what you have to do. I feel like you just ignore criticism.
Almost like he hoped people would scroll past it
Or just double down.
and forget. But people did notice, and people did care. From that point on, every video carried the same shadow over it. The man preaching integrity in sales had already admitted under oath to systematic fraud. The guy talking about trust and leadership had been tied to schemes that allegedly targeted people
I think the worst part is that he's a snitch, to be honest.
in weak positions. That is what made the whole brand look a lot darker once the full story started getting out. His follower count may have stayed steady, but the energy around him clearly changed. The praise started drying up, and in its place came more people bringing up his criminal history and questioning everything he says. That is the part he cannot outrun. The image took a hit, and his credibility never really recovered. Today, Andy Elliott still runs the Elliott Group.
You know, the worst part about being a snitch is that it's like you did the crime, you know, and then once the consequences come, you're like, nah, they get the consequences. I'm going to be free. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're trying to you're just pushing it off onto the people who you did it with, who are most likely your friends or someone who you should trust. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference between snitching that way and just like calling the police on someone who's doing a crime. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are two completely different things. And snitches, I don't fuck with that.
And still posts content like nothing changed. He still has an audience, and his programs still pull in customers who either have not looked into his background or simply do not care. But the reputation he worked so hard to build now comes with a stain that does not go away. He is no longer seen by many people as some inspiring success story. Now, he looks more like a controversial internet figure whose past clashes with every lesson he tries to sell. For a lot of people, he has turned into a meme and a warning about fake gurus, forced alpha branding, and the kind of toxic hustle culture that falls apart the second you look closer. And that is what makes Andy Elliott's story stand out. It is really about consequences, or the lack of them. He admitted to serious federal crimes that helped send other people to prison. He was tied to fraud that hurt struggling customers and misled 22 banks. Yet he walked away with immunity and built a multi-million...
All right. Well, that's all. All right. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe because we are posting 2 videos every single day. Peace.